Alright, so I already created the greatest team of all time in a previous video, and the challenge was how many Stanley Cups could we win in 10 seasons with them. I think we won like 6 or 7, but in today's video, we're going to build the best team of all time under the age of 25. That's right, everybody on this team is 24 or younger, and we are going to simulate 10 seasons to see how many Stanley Cups we can win. So some players on here might actually be 25 years old in real life right now, but I'm going off the game and when it was released, so it still says they are 24 years old. We are going to be using the Baltimore Young Guns. Here are our home jerseys and our away jerseys. Let me know in the comments if they're clean, yes or no. We are going to be playing out of the under 25 arena. If you're over the age of 25, you are an old. If you are over the age of 25, you are not allowed in. So taking a look at our roster here, we have Jason Robertson on the first line with Austin Matthews and Elias Pettersson. On the second line, we have Jack Hughes down the middle with the two Tkachuk brothers, Brady and Matthew, who are a 93 and an 89. On the third line, we have Tage Thompson, who's a 91 with Alex DeBrincat, who's an 88, and Clayton Keller, 89. And finally, our fourth line is going to be Patrick Laine, Marty Necas, and Troy Terry, an 87, 88, and 87 overall. So our forward core is by far the best in the NHL. We should definitely have no problem scoring goals whatsoever. Now on D, we have Rasmus Dahlin at a 91 with Cale Makar as our top pair, who's a 94. On the second pair, we have Quinn Hughes at a 90, Adam Fox, who is a 92. And finally, Charlie McAvoy and Miro Heiskanen, who are an 89 and 90 overall. Again, we probably have the best D core in the entire NHL, so we should have no problem stopping other teams. And our starting goalie is going to be Jake Ottinger at an 89, and Carter Hart is going to be our backup at an 87. So we should be able to win multiple Stanley Cups, but the question is, how many Stanley Cups can we win in 10 seasons? Actually, somebody in the comments, please put down how many Stanley Cups we won last time. But anyways, here we go. We got 10 seasons to win as many Stanley Cups as possible. Let's go. If you enjoy videos like this, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel. I post pretty much every second day. We are on our way to 10,000 subscribers. Want to help us get there? All right, let's get into the video. At the end of year number 1, Baltimore is going to finish as the best team in the NHL, going 56, 17, and 9, followed by Carolina, Washington, Toronto, and New York. But Baltimore would have the most wins with 56 and the most points with 21, obviously. Austin Matthews is going to lead our team in goals with 44 and points with 80, followed by Matthew Tkachuk, 76, Jack Hughes, 76, Elias Pettersson, 73, Jason Robertson, 70, Cale Makar had 62, DeBrincat, 61, Brady Tkachuk at 56. For goals, other than Matthews, Jason Robertson had 38, Brady Tkachuk at 34, Matthew had 32, DeBrincat, 25, Elias Pettersson, 23, Jack Hughes, 21, Tage Thompson, 18, Jake Ottinger would go 41, 12, and 7. He would have 5 shutouts, a 906 save percentage, and a 259 goals against average. And Carter Hart was not bad at all. Actually, he was pretty bad. I mean, an 887 save percentage and a 306 goals against average in only 24 games as well. That is not great. Looking at the entire NHL, Mitch Marner would have the most points with 107, followed by Sidney Crosby's 102. Matthews had 99, Mark Scheifele 95, Evgeny Malkin 94, Leon Draisaitl 94, Cooch 92, Pasta had 92, Eichel 91. For goals, Matthews would have the most at 56, followed by Ovi's 55, Cooch had 54, McDavid 53, Kane had 45, R. Matthews would have 44, Eichel 43, and Sidney Crosby 42. And just like that, we have made the Stanley Cup Finals in our very first year. We are up against the Pittsburgh Penguins. Can we take home our first Stanley Cup in, well, I guess franchise history? And just like that, in our very first season, the Baltimore Young Guns are going to go on to win the Stanley Cup as we beat the Pittsburgh Penguins in 5 games in the Stanley Cup Final. We absolutely dominated our way through the playoffs. We were by far the best team in the regular season and in the playoffs, so this is very well deserved. Adam Fox is actually going to take home the Conn Smythe Trophy for the Baltimore Young Guns. And here's our captain, Austin Matthews, lifting the Stanley Cup for the very first time in his career. He couldn't get it done with Toronto, but he can get it done with Baltimore and his Young Gun friends. And his hairline is absolutely terrible. He's gonna pass it off to Cale Makar, who now is a 2-time Stanley Cup champion, and I know for a damn fact that Cale Makar cannot grow facial hair like that. Look at that, dude. He could barely get a mustache going 2 years ago in the playoffs. Alright, boys, we got 1 down, 9 more to go, hopefully. I want to get at least 6 or 7 more Stanley Cups, beating our record of last time, so let's go and do it, boys. So Austin Matthews would actually have the most goals with 13 and points with 24 for us in the playoffs. Mitch Marner is going to take home the Ted Lindsay, the Art Ross, and the Hart Trophy Trophy, while Austin Matthews is going to take home the Maurice Richard. Cale Makar would take home the Norris. Ilya Samsonov would win the Vezina, and Elias Lindholm is going to take home the Selke. At the end of year number 2, Baltimore is going to finish 3rd in the NHL behind New York and Carolina. We would end up having a 52, 21, and 9 record. Meanwhile, New York had 56 wins and Carolina would have 58 wins. Elias Pettersson would lead our team in points with 81, followed by Matthew Tkachuk, 68, Jack Hughes at 64, Cole Caulfield, 57, Nick Suzuki had 55, Cale Makar, 49, Jason Robertson, 48, Brady Tkachuk, 48. Austin Matthews, what the hell happened? Only 22 goals and 48 points. I mean, he was still playing on the first line. I have no idea why his numbers are so terrible. For goals, Matthew Tkachuk and Cole Caulfield will each have 29 apiece, followed by Jason Robertson's 26, Brady Tkachuk at 26, Elias Pettersson 23, Jack Hughes 23, and Austin Matthews 22. Whoa, wait a minute. Why is Spencer Knight our starting goalie? He must have grown. He went up to a 90 overall, so Jake Ottinger is not even going to play a game for us this season. Spencer Knight's going to go 28, 13, and 6, 3 shutouts, a 903 save percentage, and a 273 goals against average. I guess Jake Ottinger did not grow whatsoever, and he's still an 89 overall. The GOAT, Nathan MacKinnon, is going to have the most points in the NHL with 116, followed by Alex Ovechkin's 104, Svechnikov at 103, Rantanen 103, McDavid 101, Leon Draisaitl 99, Landy had 98. For goals, Ovi had the most at 60, followed by McKinnon's 56, Matthews 52, McDavid 47, Rantanen 45. So we are actually going to get defeated by the greatest team of all time, the Colorado Avalanche, in the second round in 7 games, and the Carolina Hurricanes are going to go on to win the Stanley Cup as they beat Vegas in 7 games in the Stanley Cup final. Nathan MacKinnon is going to take home the Ted Lindsay, the Art Ross, and the Hart Trophy, while Ovi, he's going to take home the Maurice Richard. Cale Makar with another Norris Trophy. Marty Necas is going to take home the Conn Smythe, and Anze Kopitar, who now is on the Minnesota Wild, is going to win the Selke Trophy. So Baltimore is going to end up finishing 2nd in the NHL behind the New York Rangers, who win 60, 19, and 3. Holy shit. We would end up having a 54, 20, and 8 record, good enough for 2nd in the entire NHL. But I mean, New York was just on another level this season, I guess. Jack Hughes is going to lead our team in points with 81, followed by Austin Matthews, who had 68, Matthew Tkachuk had 63, Elias Pettersson 57, Cole Caulfield had 56, Nick Suzuki 53, Trevor Zegras had 52. For goals, Jack Hughes is actually going to have the most on our team with 34, followed by Matthew Tkachuk's 32, Austin Matthews had 30, Cole Caulfield had 29, Trevor Zegras had 26, Elias Pettersson 22. Jake Ottinger is back in the net for us. He would go 44, 14, and 8, having 3 shutouts, a 903 save percentage, and a 269 goals against average. A very good season from him. He played damn near 70 games too. Spencer Knight was our backup. He only played 18. Alex Ovechkin would lead the entire NHL in goals with 70, yes, 70, and points with 115. Actually, he was tied with McDavid, but I mean 70 goals at age 39 is one of the most wildest things I've ever seen in my life. Patrick Kane had 114, Pasta had 114, Panarin 107, Dry 107, Marchand had 103. For goals, I mean, Matthews kind of got close. He had 65, Laine 61, McDavid 54, Kane had 52. And just like that, we are back in the Stanley Cup final, this time against the New York Rangers, who won 60 games this season. Can we win our 2nd Stanley Cup of the simulation? And just like that, we are going to go on to win our 2nd Stanley Cup of the simulation as we beat the New York Rangers in the Stanley Cup final in 6 games. It was a back and forth affair, but we would come out on top. And yet again, we are Stanley Cup champions. Our 2nd ring. Cale Makar is actually going to take home the Conn Smythe for the Baltimore Young Guns. All hail Cale, probably our best defenseman and our best player throughout the entire playoff run. And here comes our captain, Austin Matthews, coming to lift the Stanley Cup for the 2nd time in the simulation. I'm honestly thinking, should I strip Matthews of the captaincy? After last season, he had a very down year. I don't know. Maybe he should be captain, maybe he shouldn't. But regardless, we are 2-time Stanley Cup champions. Trevor Zegras is actually going to have the most points for us in the playoffs with 23. He would also have 11 goals, followed by Matthews 21, Tkachuk 21, Cale Makar had 19 and 7 goals. McDavid is going to take home the Ted Lindsay and the Hart Trophy, while Alex Ovechkin is going to take home the Art Ross and the Maurice Richard. John Carlson is somehow going to take home the Norris. The Conn Smythe, obviously, to Cale Makar. Linus Ullmark is going to win the Vezina, and Alexander Barkov is going to take home the Selke. Alright, so I have made a new rule for the simulation. The previous Conn Smythe winner is actually going to be our captain moving forward until somebody else wins the Conn Smythe. So in this case, that was Cale Makar. You were the new captain of the Baltimore Baltimore Young Guns, buddy. And Austin Matthews, sorry, but you got the A. The Baltimore Young Guns are yet again going to have a great regular season, finishing third in the entire NHL, going 55, 25, and 2. The New York Rangers and the Colorado Avalanche were the only teams to finish above us. Jack Hughes is going to lead our team in points with 74, followed by Cale Makar, 71. Timmy Stu had 70. This is the first I'm seeing of him in the entire simulation. Matthew Tkachuk hit 67, Trevor Zegras 64, Matthew 63, Heischer at 62. For goals, Matthews had the most at 38, followed by Jack Hughes at 37, Brady Tkachuk at 33, Matthew had 27, Elias Pettersson at 27, and Jason Robertson would have 23. Carter Hart is actually going to be our starting goalie this season. He would go 40, 19, and 2, having 5 shutouts, an 896 save percentage, and a 280 goals against average. Wait a minute. How on earth do you have 5 shutouts in a single season playing 62 games and you cannot even keep a 900 save percentage? Connor McDavid is going to have the most points in the entire NHL with 126, followed by Leon Draisaitl's 104. Johnny Hockey had 99. Connor Bedard would have 54 goals and 98 points for the St. Louis Blues. Adam Fox would have 98. Gabriel Landeskog 95. Ovi 94. Pavelski would have 94 at age 41. For goals, Bedard and McDavid would tie for the most at 54, followed by Melvin Forrest, who had 52. Ovi again 52, age 40. And yet again, we are back in the Stanley Cup Finals, this time against the Buffalo Sabres. Can we go on and win our 3rd Stanley Cup of the simulation? And yet again, we've won the Stanley Cup as we beat the Buffalo Sabres in 4 games in the Stanley Cup Final, a clean sweep. It was not even close. We absolutely dominated them. And now we have won 3 rings in the simulation so far. So we are well on our way to becoming the greatest team of all time. And it looks like Adam Fox is going to be our next captain as he wins the Conn Smythe for the Baltimore Young Guns. And here comes our current captain, Cale Makar, coming to lift the Stanley Cup, I believe, for the 3rd time, or actually the 4th time in his career. 3 times with Baltimore, 1 with Colorado, and now he is a 4-time Stanley Cup champion. And he's going to give it off to our next captain, Adam Fox. He has earned it as he won the Conn Smythe. That is the new deal for the team. Whoever wins the Conn Smythe is going to get captaincy next. For the playoffs, Matthews would have the most points with 21, followed by Adam Fox's 20, only 1 goal but 19 assists. Connor McDavid is going to take home the Ted Lindsay, the Maurice Richard, the Art Ross, and the Hart Trophy, a clean sweep. Adam Fox would take home the Norris. Obviously, Adam Fox would take home the Conn Smythe, our Adam Fox, not the New York Rangers one. Ilya Samsonov would take home the Vezina yet again, and Bo Horvat is going to win the Selke. For year number 5, the Baltimore Young Guns are going to finish 2nd in the entire NHL with a record of 55, 22, and 5, only behind the Toronto Maple Leafs, who did have less wins than us, but more overtime losses, so they would end up with more points, 1 more point to be in fact. Trevor Zegras is going to lead our team in points with 74, followed by Austin Matthews, who had 70. Timmy Stu had 66, Jack Hughes 64, Matthew Tkachuk 58, Cale Makar 53, Jason Robertson 51, Elias Pettersson 50, and Captain Adam Fox 50. Matthews would by far have the most goals with 45, followed by Jason Robertson's 27, Trevor Zegras 24, Jack Hughes 24. Spencer Knight would play 61 games for us, going 42, 14, and 2, having 8 shutouts, a 908 save percentage, and a 247 goals against average, but I mean 8 shutouts is insane. Nikita Kucherov is going to have the most points in the NHL with 112, followed by Kirill Kaprizov's 105, Nathan McKinnon 102. Dylan Strome had 30 goals and 102 points in 82 games on the Washington Capitals. What is going on? This was by far his best season in his entire career. He's 30 years old, having a career high. For goals, Matthews had 60, followed by McKinnon's 56. Glebov, who the hell is this? Mikhail Glebov would have 51. Nitty Mackey would have 51. Kucherov 51. Mangiapane 45. We would actually somehow end up losing to Chicago in the very first round in Game 7, and the Carolina Hurricanes are going to go on to win the Stanley Cup as they beat Anaheim in 6 games in the Stanley Cup Final. Matthews is going to take home the Ted Lindsay, the Maurice Richard, and the Hart Trophy, while Kucherov is going to take home the Art Ross. Adam Fox with another Norris Trophy. Marty Necas with another Conn Smythe. Samsonov will win the Vezina yet again, and Alexander Barkov is going to take home the Selke. At the end of year number 6, we would end up finishing with a 58, 18, and 6 record, good enough for 1st in the entire NHL. Austin Matthews is going to lead our team in goals with 42 and points with 72, followed by Matthew Tkachuk 72, Cale Makar 71, Trevor Zegras 67, Jack Hughes 66. For goals, Matthews obviously had the most. Tkachuk would be 2nd with 37, followed by Jason Robertson's 28. Elias Pettersson had 24, Trevor Zegras 23, Jack Hughes 23, and Timmy Stu 22. Carter Hart is going to play 53 games, going 39, 8, and 4, having 1 shutout, a 910 save percentage, and a 239 goals against average. Connor McDavid is yet again going to have the most points in the NHL with 112, followed by Nikita Kucherov, who had 109, Austin Matthews 108, Jason Robertson 105, Tomi Niittymaki had 104, Mitch Marner 104, Connor Bedard 100. For goals, Matthews had the most at 60, followed by Kuch's 53, Niittymaki at 53, Bedard 51, Jeff Skinner, who's 35 years old but still put up 51 goals, McKinnon had 49, Marchand 49, and yet again we are back in the Stanley Cup final, this time against the Florida Panthers. Can we take home our 4th Stanley Cup of the simulation? I mean, we should be able to, right? Florida in the Stanley Cup final in history have not been very good. They got swept way back in like the 90s and they lost in 5 games to Vegas this year. So let's go on and win our 4th Stanley Cup of the simulation. And sadly, we are going to lose to the Florida Panthers in 6 games in the Stanley Cup final. Connor McDavid is going to take home the Ted Lindsay, the Art Ross, and the Hart Trophy, while Austin Matthews is going to take home the Maurice Richard. Cale Makar with another Norris Trophy. Matthew Tkachuk is going to take home the Conn Smythe. Carter Hart is actually going to win the Vezina for the Baltimore Young Guns, and Barkov would take home yet again another Selke Trophy. Alright, I know I said my rule was that the Conn Smythe winner would be our captain until somebody else won the Conn Smythe, but Adam Fox, you were not getting it done. We're going to give that off to my man, Jack Hughes, yes sir, the new captain of the Baltimore Young Guns. Yet again, we are going to have the best record in the entire NHL, going 59, 17, and 6, good enough for 124 points. Cale Makar is actually going to lead our team in points with 71. He would have 12 goals and 59 assists, followed by Matthew Tkachuk 67, Jack Hughes 67, Elias Pettersson 64, Tage Thompson 58, Austin Matthews would have 55, Adam Fox 55, Cole Caulfield 54, Trevor Zegras 51. Tage Thompson is going to have the most goals on our team with 36, followed by Matthews 31, Tkachuk at 30, Pettersson 29, DeBrincat 25. Carter Hart would play 57 games, going 39, 13, and 5, having 3 shutouts, a 906 save percentage, and a 245 goals against average. Connor Bedard is going to have the most points in the NHL with 113, followed by Kuch's 107, Nathan McKinnon 106, Mitch Marner 105, Austin Matthews 104, Nylander 101, and Jordan Kyrou 100. For goals, Matthews would damn near have 60 goals. He would finish with 58, followed by Brad Marchand, who's 40 years old but would put up 53 goals. Bo Horvat had 51, Leon Draisaitl 50, Connor Bedard 48, and David Pastrnak 46. And yet again, another disappointing playoff run as we lose to St. Louis in the 2nd round in 5 games. They would absolutely dog walk us. It was not even close, and the Florida Panthers are going to go on to win the Stanley Cup as they beat Edmonton in 6 games in the Stanley Cup final. Connor Bedard is going to take home the Ted Lindsay, the Art Ross, and the Hart Trophy, while Matthews is going to take home the Maurice Richard. Cale Makar would take home the Norris. Alexander Barkov is going to win the Conn Smythe. Carter Hart with another Vezina Trophy. Alexander Barkov would win his 4th Selke Trophy in 5 seasons. Alright, so I gotta be honest, things are not going too well. We've only won 3 Stanley Cups so far, and now we're on to our 8th season. I mean, things are looking very rough right now. You know what, Jack Hughes, screw it. You're going up there in the first line with Austin Matthews and Matthew Tkachuk. Cole Caulfield, we're going to put you on the wing, and Clayton Keller, you're going to go down to the 3rd line. We'll have Tage Thompson, Caulfield, and Laine on the 2nd line. Yet again, the Baltimore Young Guns are going to finish 1st in the NHL. They would go 56, 14, and 12 for 124 points. Matthew Tkachuk would lead our team in points with 77, followed by Jack Hughes at 71, Tage Thompson 66, Elias Pettersson 66, Austin Matthews at 62, Cale Makar 58, Patrick Laine 56, Cole Caulfield 54. For goals, Matthews had the most at 36, followed by Thompson's 34, Tkachuk 30, Laine 27, Pettersson 25. Spencer Knight and Carter Hart would pretty much split the game. Spencer Knight would play 47 and Carter Hart 40, but Spencer Knight would go 31, 9, and 7, having 1 shutout, a 912 save percentage, and a 239 goals against average. Austin Matthews is going to have the most goals at 70 and the most points at 112 for the entire NHL, followed by Kyle Connors 110, William Nylander had 107, Niittymaki had 103, Fox 102, Jack Eichel 99, Marty Necas 99, Ehlers 98, and Mitch Marner 98. For goals, other than Matthews, Glebov would have 58, followed by Niittymaki 50, Svechnikov 49, Kyle Connor 48, Bo Horvat 47, and Pasta 45. And of course, we are going to choke yet again as we lose to Vegas in 5 games in the conference finals. And Florida is going to go on to win their 3rd straight Stanley Cup, three-peating as they beat Vegas in 5 games in the Stanley Cup final. Austin Matthews is going to take home the Ted Lindsay, the Maurice Richard, the Art Ross, and the Hart Trophy, a clean sweep on all the awards. Adam Fox with another Norris trophy. It seems like there's only 2 players that ever win the Norris, Adam Fox or Cale Makar. Literally nobody else wins it. Alexander Barkov is going to take home the Conn Smythe, and Elias Pettersson is going to take home the Selke. Alright, so we have 2 seasons left in the simulation, and so far we've not been meeting expectations. I was hoping for at least 6 or 7 rings, but we've only got 3 so far. So 2 more years left. Hopefully we can actually win another Stanley Cup, at least one, please. The Young Guns would end up finishing 4th in the NHL, going 53, 26, and 3. Vegas, Toronto, and Winnipeg were the only teams better than us. Matthew Tkachuk will lead our team in points with 68, followed by Austin Matthews, 66, Jack Hughes, 64, Elias Pettersson, 62, Nick Suzuki had 61, Timmy Stu, 59, Cole Caulfield, 57, Cale Makar, 56, and Trevor Zegras, 53. For goals, Matthews had the most at 37, followed by Caulfield's 28, Zegras had 26, Tage Thompson, 23, Elias Pettersson, 23. Spencer Knight was our starting goalie. He would play 59 games, going 36, 20, and 3, having 4 shutouts. And oh my god, he had terrible numbers, an 889 save percentage and a 308 GAA. Austin Matthews is going to have the most points in the NHL with 109, followed by Kyle Connors, 108, Glebov had 106, Nikolai Ehlers, 105, Kent Johnson would have 104, Philip Forsberg, 101, Jason Robertson, 101, and Connor Bedard, 99. For goals, Glebov had the most at 68, followed by Matthew, 66, Kyle Connor had 52, Piper had 50, Landon Piper, and somehow we are going to lose in the very first round in Game 7 to Connor Bedard and the St. Louis Blues, and the Vegas Golden Knights are going to go on to win the Stanley Cup as they sweep the Devils in the Stanley Cup final. Matthews is going to take home the Ted Lindsay, the Art Ross, and the Hart Trophy, while Glebov, he's going to take home the Maurice Richard. Rasmus Dahlin is going to win the Norris. Mark Stone is going to take home the Conn Smythe. Tristan Jarry is going to win the Vezina, and Grigorenko is going to take home the Selke. Jack Hughes would have the most goals on our team with 38 and points with 110, followed by Matthew Tkachuk, 77, Cale Makar, 73, Adam Fox, 69, Elias Pettersson had 62, Rasmus Dahlin, 59, and Timmy Stu, 56. For goals, other than Jack Hughes, it was Matthew Tkachuk with 34, Austin Matthews, 29, Trevor Zegras, 27, Dylan Cousins had 25, Nick Suzuki had 21, Timmy Stu had 21, and Cole Caulfield had 21. Jake Ottinger was our starter this season. Oh my god, he played 71 games. That's pretty much the entire season. He would finish with a 52, 12, and 4 record, having 5 shutouts, a 908 save percentage, and a 254 goals against average. Nikolai Ehlers is actually going to have the most points in the NHL with 114, followed by DeBrincat's 110, Jack Hughes had 110, Kyle Connor had 109, Connor McDavid 108, Timmy Stu 108, Jason Robertson 105, Kent Johnson 104. For goals, Kyle Connor is going to have the most at 52. Actually, he was tied with Glebov. Actually, it was a 3-way tie between Dunham, Glebov, and Kyle Connor. They each had 52 apiece. Jack Eichel had 50, Connor Bedard 49, Alex DeBrincat 49, and Cole Caulfield 49. And yet again, we have the St. Louis Blues in round number 1. Hopefully this time we do not choke it and lose in Game 7. And finally, we are back in the Stanley Cup final, this time against the New Jersey Devils. Can we go out with a Stanley Cup and finish on top of the NHL? And finally, yet again, the Baltimore Young Guns are Stanley Cup champions as we beat the New Jersey Devils in the Stanley Cup final in 5 games, a complete wash. I mean, they did get 1 game on us, but other than that, we pretty much dominated them. And finally, we win our 4th Stanley Cup of the simulation. It took way too long for that. We are going to go out on top as Stanley Cup champions. And Jack Hughes is our Conn Smythe winner for the Baltimore Young Guns. Too bad he's already the captain. And here he comes, Mr. Steal Your Girl, Jack Hughes, coming to lift the Stanley Cup for the 4th time in his career. 4 times in 10 seasons, the Baltimore Young Guns are Stanley Cup champions. I mean, it just has a nice ring to it. I mean, we did not reach our goal for like 6 or 7 Stanley Cups like last video, but still, you shoot for the stars, you land on the moon. It's not bad at all. It's a pretty good compromise. But man, did I ever think this team was going to be a lot better than it actually was. I thought they were all going to grow and get up to like a 92, 93 overall, and we were just going to win like every Stanley Cup because they were so young, but it just did not work out that way. Baltimore Young Guns have 4 Stanley Cups in 10 seasons for the final time. Jack Hughes would end up leading our team in goals and points. He had 10 goals and 24 assists in 22 games in the playoffs, a very good playoff run by him, followed by Trevor Zegras 15, Adam Fox at 15, Quinn Hughes 15, and Austin Matthews 14. Jack Hughes is going to take home the Ted Lindsay and the Hart Trophy, while Nikolai Ehlers is going to win the Art Ross, and Kyle Connor would take home the Maurice Richard. The Conn Smythe, obviously obviously the Jack Hughes. Jake Ottinger is going to take home the Vezina, and Bo Horvat, who's on the Calgary Flames, is going to take home the Selke Trophy. And that is going to do it for this video, boys. 4 Stanley Cups in 10 years, not bad at all if I do say so myself. Let me know in the comments what you would like to see next. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, don't be silly, wrap your willy.